Okay, be honest with me for a second. It is somehow December again. Wasn't it just December? You did the whole New Year, New Me thing. You bought the gym membership, you used it twice, and now the gym is texting you like an ex. Haven't seen you in a while. And the full year is just gone. Where did it go? Who took it? Here's the thing that should bother you more than it does. When you were a kid, one single summer felt like an entire geological era. School ended. The August stretched out in front of you like the ocean. You got bored. Remember being bored? Like aggressively bored. Lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling because 3 whole hours had passed and it was somehow still Tuesday. Now you've killed for that. Now Tuesday shows up, waves and leaves before you finish your coffee. So what happened? Because here's the part that's actually wild. Nothing happened to time. The clock didn't change. A year is still 365 days, same as when you were 7. Time isn't speeding up. So why does it feel like somebody hit fast forward on your life and snapped the remote? I went looking for the answer, and it turns out this is one of the questions where the more you pull the thread, the weirder it gets. And the best part, the genuinely good news I'm building up to, is that once you understand what happens, you actually fight back. You can make your life feel longer, not in a wee way, in a this is how your brain works way. But to get there, we have to start with a question that sounds dumb and absolutely is not. What is a year to you? Stick with me. When you're 10 years old, 1 year is a tenth of your whole life. That's a huge chunk. That's like getting a tenth of a pizza. You've noticed. But when you're 50, the same year is 1/5 of your life. Same year, same pizza, way thinner slice. Our French philosopher named Paul Janet clocked this all the way back in 1877. Guy did not have a phone, had nothing but time. Ironically, and he basically said, we don't measure time against the clock. We measure it against ourselves, against how much life you've already stacked up, and by that math, every year you survive makes the next one feel a little shorter. Your own past is quietly shoplifting from your present. It's a genuinely clever idea. William James, the guy who basically invented modern psychology, liked this so much he put it in his famous textbook in 1890. And honestly, it explains part of the feeling. But, and this is where I got hooked, it can't be the whole story. Because if it were just math, time would feel smooth. A gentle, even slide every year a hair shorter than the last. But that's not how anybody actually describes it. People describes time lurching. They've got entire year that just vanished. No receipt, nothing. And then one random summer from a decade ago that feels enormous, like it lasted forever, even though it was technically the same 3 months as any other. The math doesn't explain that, so something sneakier is going on. And to find it, you have to know the single strangest fact about your sense of time. Ready? You don't actually measure time when it's happening. You measure it afterwards. Sit with, because it's bananas. Right now, this very second, you have basically no reliable read on how fast time is moving. The real verdict, the oh my god, where did the time go? That only shows up later. When you look back, and here's the genius lazy thing your brain does when you look back. It can't count minutes. So instead, it counts memories. It's like the world's most unreliable account. It doesn't check the clock. It just glances at a pile of memories from a chunk of time and goes, looks about this big. And this is the key to the entire thing. A stretch of life packed with new stuff leaves behind a fat stock of memories. So when you look back, it feels long. A stretch of pure routine leaves behind basically nothing. So when you look back, it feels like it barely happened. Same number of days, but one pile is thick and one pile is a single sad recipe. Now, think about what childhood actually is. Childhood is just first and first and first. First time on a bike, first day at school, first day you saw the ocean, first time you saw the lovely girl of your life, first time someone broke your heart over a note passing class. Your brain is obsessed with firsts. It records every single one in 4K. So childhood becomes this overstuffed glittering vault of memory. Looking back, it feels massive because it literally is. There's so much in there. And adulthood, adulthood. Adulthood is a slow, beautiful death of novelty. Same commute, same coffee, same desk, same 4 restaurants on rotation. Same drive home that you genuinely do not remember doing. You've all done this, right? You get in the car, you blink, you're in your driveway, and you have zero memory of the actual ride. That's not you being tired. That's your brain going, seeing it, not recording it, and quietly deleting the footage. Because why would you save the 1000th identical Tuesday? It keeps one Tuesday and overwrites the rest, like it's clearing storage to download more photos. So when you look back on a whole year of routine, your brain hands you almost nothing and reads the emptiness as, wow, that flew by. Your years aren't getting shorter, they're getting emptier. And an empty year feels like it's evaporated. There's a name for everyday version of this, and once you hear it, you'll see it everywhere. The psychology writer Claudia Hammond calls it the holiday paradox. Think about your last actual peaceful trip somewhere new. While you were there, the days felt full and slow. So much to see, everything unfamiliar, your brain working overtime. But the second you got home, the whole thing collapsed. Wait, we were only gone a week? That feels like a month ago. That contradiction, slow while it's happening, gigantic in the rear view. That's the entire secret of time. Shrunk down, small enough to hold. Novelty stretches time in your memory. Routine shreds it. A week of new things leaves behind more life than a month of normal one. Which brings us to a slightly scary question. If your brain is literally building your sense of your entire life out of memorable moment, what happens when you stop making it? Yeah, this is the part that got me a little quiet. Because as we get older, life doesn't just become routine by accident. We optimize it on purpose. We get good at things. We stop getting lost, stop fumbling, stop being beginners, and every bit of that smooth, competent, I got my life together energy is your brain getting a permission slip to stop recording. Here's a brutal version. The better you get at living your life, the less of you actually remember living. That's the trap. Mastery feels like winning, and it is, but it's also the exact recipe for time to vanish on you. But okay, I promise you good news, right? And here it comes. And it's my favorite part. Scientists found that across your whole life, there's one window you remember more vividly than any other. Roughly ages 15 to 25, decades later, people pull up more memories from those years than any other stretch. The music especially. You know how the songs from when you were 17 are just better? Objectively, scientifically, they're not. Your brain is lying to you, but it's lying to you for a beautiful reason. It's called the reminiscence bomb, and here's why it happened. Those are the years you're figuring out who you are, and your brain treats anything connected to your identity like priceless artifact. Highest resolution, permanent file, never delete. Which means, and this is the reframe that flips the whole thing, the feeling that life was richer when you were young isn't your nostalgia lying. It literally was richer. You're laying down way more memory per day than you probably are now. But that exact fact is also the cheat code, because watch what it tells you. Your brain does not actually care how old you are. It has no idea. It cares about novelty. It cares about first. The only reason kids live in big, slow, golden time is that everything is new to them. And the only reason adults live in thin, fast time is that almost nothing is. So the thing controlling how fast your life feels was never the number of your birthday cake. It's how much genuinely new stuff you're feeding your memory. And that, my friend, your control at any age today. Now, quick honesty break, because I'm not going to oversell the idea that you can deliberately slow down your sense of time by chasing novelty is a really strong theory, but scientists are still arguing about exactly how much you can move the needle. So I'm not promising you a time machine, but here's the thing. Look at what the prescription actually is. To slow time down, you keep learning. You go new places, you meet new people, you take the weird road home instead of the autopilot one. You let yourself be bad at something new for a while. In other words, the recipe for a life that feels long is the literal same recipe for a life that feels good. This is the one bet in your entire universe where you cannot lose, even if it only half works on the sense of time. You still walk away with a better life. House always loses, take the bet. And here's a reframe I want you to actually steal and use it on your own calendar starting today. We all think a full life means a busy one. More tasks, more cramped in, inbox at zero, calendar a war zone. But busy and memorable are not the same thing. They're barely related. You can't be unbelievably busy doing the same thing 500 times and remember exactly none of them. The years that will feel huge when you're old aren't going to be that efficient, optimized ones. They're going to be the ones where you were a little lost, a little uncomfortable, doing something for the first time and slightly embarrassing yourself. That discomfort of being a beginner, that's not the tax you pay for growth. That's the price of time itself. So no, time isn't speeding up. The clock is fine. The clock has been doing its job the whole time. What's actually happening is you are recording less and less of your own life. The years feel short because they're slipping past without leaving a single scratch on your memory. And the fix was never to slow down the clock. It was to hand your brain something worth keeping. Those endless summers from when you were a kid, you didn't have more time, you had less. They feel endless because everything was new and you were actually paying attention to all of it. And that attention, that's still yours. The newness is still out there, all of it waiting anything. The only thing that changed is somewhere along the way you stop looking for it. You don't get more days, sorry, nobody does, not even Homelander, but you can absolutely make the ones you've got feel like more. And honestly, the most hopeful little fact about being alive might be this: that long, slow, golden time you remember from being young. You're never too old for it. You just stop collecting first. The good news is you can start again tomorrow, or if you're feeling brave, today.